Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ultimate553 here, and today I'm doing review number 10. So yeah, I finally reached double-digit episodes in this review show. Today I will be reviewing Iron Man, the first Marvel movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So last week I teased that I was going to make a change to this show, reviewed, of course, which is this show. So the change is I'm going to start doing this basically. This is just kind of me how I do things. I'll still have the basically I won't have the trailers anymore. I won't be showing the trailers because it just I think it gives a lot away, and YouTube is getting on me about that. So I'm changing that. But I'll still have the I still have little intro things after every episode. After every introduction of every episode of this show, I'm going to keep doing the little movie intros. So you'll still see that. So the main idea of this episode, Iron Man, um, for number 10, for pretty cool number 10, is because the newest Marvel movie in Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Captain America: Civil War, is coming out this week, which means I'll be doing a review several weeks, maybe I get a good month after it's so that if I want to spoil something, I can do that. So just saying it now. So I'll be doing the whole Marvel universe, not including the TV shows like Agent Carter or Agents of Shield. I might do that. I don't know. I'm still not sure about it. But yeah. So anyway, um, yeah. So Iron Man. Well, what can I say about it? Well, since I don't have a trailer, I can't really like go into depth about it. But I can do that. I guess I can do pretty well without trailer. So Iron Man was the first Marvel movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was started back in 2008. That was about, I don't know, like it was 8 years ago. About, yeah, I think so, a long time ago. And that started a whole branch of movies because like the idea of because they had a whole bunch of other movies, like the Spider-Man, they had Daredevil, they had all these movies, but they weren't really in their cinematic universe. Well, Spider-Man was, but it was like they made a trilogy, and they were gonna make a fourth one, but they didn't make a fourth one, and it's kind of like that. So Iron Man is one movie that started off all of it, and like it started building this universe. Something that DC Comics does not do very well at. Of course, I'm not gonna do DC Comics, and this is for Iron Man. So Iron Man, I love Iron Man. It's my favorite character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, by far. Um, well, except with the exception of Spider-Man, he's pretty cool too. But Iron Man, the first movie, it was pretty good. I mean, I mean, honestly, Robert Downey Jr. was perfect in the role of Tony Stark, Iron Man. He just he basically, in fact, there's I think it was Obadiah Stane, I think. Yeah, I think his name is the villain of the first movie, Iron Man. There's a scene in the movie where um where he's trying to to copy Tony Stark's suit, like the ab character and stuff, and um and he gets mad at this scientist guy for not being able to help him, and he's like Tony Stark build a suit of armor in a cave with a box of scraps. I mean, that defines his genius totally, completely defines his genius. Like it really does. I mean, like because he really is a good. He's good. He literally that's what he did. It's just like a bunch of what he can find in a cave, what the technology he can find in a cave, and build this giant suit of armor. Um, I like how it kind of evolved as the movie went on to kind of like this. It kind of went from silver. He went from like having the basic like kind of bulky Iron Man suit that in my opinion I did not like, because in the Lego game, Lego Marvel Superheroes, and we have access to it. It's really slow and it sucks. However, with the newer one, I just love the Iron in the first movie, all the first time that he that he's in this little like in his little downstairs area, and the he's getting like the mechanic parts are like latching onto his body and then like fixing him up, and then eventually like two arms or whatever take parts of the frame of the helmet from the suit, and they put them on his face, and then they kind of seal it, and then the Iron Mask comes down, and then it seals, and it's Iron Man. It's like, I just love that. I mean, I love the movie. It definitely, obviously, it sets up for everything. Like, it sets up for the Avengers. That's the one. It started the Avengers. I mean, it also started. It kind of, well, it didn't start Infinity War, which was it's just going to come out in 2018. But it did start kind of Easter egging things. Kind of like, because at the end of Iron Man, you have Nick Fury. He says, Mr. Stark, you become a part. You think? I think it was a. You think you're the only superhero in the world, Mr. Stark? You become part of a part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. And he's from Shield, which totally sets up for everything about the entire phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the Avengers, because Iron Man is the first movie that sets up for the Avengers. Because at the end of Iron Man, Nick Fury's like, I'm here to talk about I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative. And that's the moment that I'm like, oh, that like everyone's like, oh my god, this is setting up for the Avengers, the greatest superhero movie of all time, in my opinion. I liked it better, but I'll get into that in a few weeks later. So yeah, I liked it. I mean, it definitely. I mean, it has. I mean, the reason why it before at the end of Iron Man, at least the post-credit scene, before it actually before we kind of get before we get Nick Fury, who's the director of Shield, we get Coulson, Agent Phil Coulson, and he's like the right hand man, he's like the right hand man to Nick Fury in a way. Of course, later he becomes director in Agent of Shield, but I'm not gonna talk about that. This is for Iron Man. So you have all these characters. You have actually pretty cool fact that the director of Iron Man, the first movie, Jon Favreau, he actually he's like, it's like some of those directors in movies where they have a role in the movie, and his role, like, he in the movie itself while directing it, he played Happy Hogan, who was basically Tony Stark's bodyguard, or Iron Man's bodyguard. He always referred to as Iron Man's bodyguard, which is pretty cool because he always carried a suit of. I think at least the third one, he carries a briefcase with a I guess mobile Iron Man suit, which is pretty cool. I did like how it's really set up for everything. Because you got the introduction of Coulson, who represents at first at the end of Iron Man, towards the end of Iron Man, at the beginning of Iron Man, Pepper Potts, who's at the time, merely Tony Stark's, like, she works for Tony Stark, and then they get into a relationship. But she meets Coulson, and he's like, I'm with the Strategic Intervention Enforcement and Logistic Division, which is what SHIELD stands for. And then later, when she says, oh, so you're from the Strategic, and then Coulson stops her and says, just call it SHIELD. And that's a reference to Captain America, SHIELD. That's why I'm pretty sure that's why just happened to be acronym for SHIELD, because it's a reference to, I believe it's a reference to Captain America's SHIELD, who is another Marvel movie character, Marvel character. I mean, I also love the final battle between Iron Man and Obadiah Stane. Obadiah Stane. Who's apparently he's like initially they're really good friends, and then he turns on them because Stane basically turns on Tony Stark because of the suit of armor he has, and he thinks that doing all this like, this world terrorism is wrong or something like that. I think that's how it works. And I love the final battle. Actually, I love the point where Coulson and his team of SHIELD, and also I think Pepper Potts too, they are in the place where Stane is, where he gets into Iron Man's first Mark 1. He basically gets into Tony Stark's Mark 1 armor, which is pretty cool. Sorry, my phone's going off. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, I love that. That's kind of like kind of thrilling almost, because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure the Obadiah Stane has taken Tony Stark's Mark 1 armor suit, which is pretty kind of not scary, but like climactic, kind of like ooh. And then the final battle between well, I think Obadiah Stane doesn't really have like an alter ego, like Tony Stark, whose alter ego is Iron Man when he's in the suit. Um, it's kind of funny like that. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, I love the climax. I mean, I actually remember the trailer from the first Iron Man movie. I'm pretty sure. It's kind of amazing how I can't remember that. It was the first trailer for Iron Man, and it said this summer comes in a blast or something like that, and it have Iron Man going yes like that, and it's really cool. I love I love the scene where you have Obadiah Stane in the Mark 1 armor, because he basically seals Tony Stark's arc reactor, and then Pepper Potts gives him I think it's a birthday he has, and he gives him a present, and it actually turns out to be another arc reactor for Tony Stark. And there's a scene in the movie where where Obadiah comes by, decides to be evil, and decides to take out his arc reactor, making Tony Stark basically defenseless. And of course, he's able to get. I think at the point where one of the arms that helps him get into a suit of armor basically like throws off because the arc reactor, the spare arc reactor present thingy is like on top of a shelf, and Tony Stark right here is like he's like gasping for air. He's like he's like oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I can't I'm because it's all that Shaq Merrill got into in the early movie, which was kind of crazy. And so he gets and then he's able to put it into his thing, and then becomes Iron Man again. Although I have to admit the first but for the first Iron Man suit, I like that. I mean, I like the basic kind of red and gold color scheme. I like that. I mean, I've always been a fan of that. That kind of color scheme. It just reminds me. I mean, I haven't really I haven't read the comics, but I watched the movies, and I've seen a little bit of I've seen little clips of Iron Man in the animated shows. But overall, it was a very fun movie. I loved it. It set up for everything. It totally set up for the Avengers, even though no one even knew that, because that's like the Avengers is the greatest superhero movie of all time. At least the first one is. April's one was okay. I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a few weeks once I get there. So yeah. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it totally had everything in it you expect. Nick Fury at the end with saying, I heard you talking about the Avenger Initiative. That was so perfect. I mean, that's just like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. It really defined the character. Like, it's the first time you get to see him on screen, and you get all these characters. I mean, you don't get all these characters, but you definitely at least you get at least a setup for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, so yeah, I mean, it didn't have a whole. I mean, actually, it had a character that will be in that will actually be in Iron Man 3. We'll take it later to that. He basically is this guy who helps Tony Stark make his Iron Man suit. He's this guy who helps Tony Stark first make his Iron Man suit, and it was just amazing. It was a great movie. I love the scientific stuff that Tony Stark does to start doing this new suit and make new versions of his suit. That was a great part of the movie. I just love that. I mean, it felt like a good movie. It really was a good movie. I really enjoyed it when I saw it. I mean, it's one of those movies. Honestly, it's a good movie, but I just prefer. I prefer other ones. I prefer other Marvel movies. It just wasn't as good. It was good, but it just wasn't as. It didn't really grab attention as much as the other ones. Although I did like the fact that that he's the only superhero who dares to reveal his identity to the world. He's like, fuck it, I am Iron Man. It's like, because I read this Facebook post where it's like all these characters, DC and Marvel, who no one knows my identity, and then it's like, I'm Iron Man. It's like that's the perfect. It's like yeah, that's of course he's Iron Man because Tony Stark is Iron Man. It's like he's the guy. Although I don't really understand how when he's Iron Man, people still call him Stark, which is kind of a little odd. But it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it when I saw it because I remember it. It set up for the entire universe. They had a whole universe starting with Iron Man. And it's just amazing. It really was awesome. I love the actually my favorite line from the movie is when Pepper Potts comes in downstairs when Tony Stark was doing the Iron Man suit. He's like, this isn't the first thing you've caught me doing. That was a great moment of the movie. So yeah, it was fantastic. Obviously, it was just great. So anyway, that's about does it for this week's episode I reviewed. As for rating it, well, it was okay. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10 because it was just. That only reason I do that give it that is because it wasn't the greatest movie, but it was a good movie, but it wasn't the greatest Marvel movie of all time. It was okay, but like it could have been better. Just more characters, I guess. But what do you expect? So yeah, I really liked it. That was fantastic. So yeah, that's all I can say for the first Iron Man movie. Yeah, well, I guess I'll see you next week for the next episode, which will be the next Iron Man movie. No, actually, no, that's a lie. That'll be the next Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'll see you for that. You know what that is. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time for the next episode review. So yeah, all right, that'll do it. Thank you for watching. All right, see ya.